Hi there. I'm going to review what the market has been like, well, more specifically, today, which was a beautiful day. May 28th. It says 29th here, but Tuesday the 28th was pretty nice. Let's quickly see where we came from. Well, we were coming from making all-time highs with the help of Nvidia's earnings. And from this change in structure in the higher time frame, when we had this rise in London that day, and also from Asia, then the next day in the morning, all this sell-off ended up reaching this high time frame zone, all this area. It reached its 50%, and with refined fractals in this case, there was a fractal around here where the price had reached, responsible for triggering things here. This bearish flow we had over here was confirmed, and it already had a tap at 30%. So the price reached all this fall from its worst. Overcoming all this in between, it reached that small fractal again, needing to do well with this. We'll see more, but it couldn't touch. Respecting reaching this meant breaking that summer fractal, and it was an important fractal, because it was validated here, with this continuation. So, from there, everything happened up to his life. And we were almost reaching the end of the week to this part over here. It's like the most responsible for longer time frames. And we still had this part over here, pending to mitigate this whole area, the structure change for the longer time frames, which we are going to address with what happened this day, which was quite nice. So the price around here on Monday was already mitigating the area and reached about 30%. It couldn't create a pause in this time frame, didn't even break this responsible, it just arrived to this flip area that was here. There was a flip and its responsible person, and from there it kept going up, opened the market the next day and started the bullish delivery. Asia and London made it all the way here. Now 50% of the larger structure change has occurred. Reason why I started my day quite varies with quite varies bias, and it's because I usually, when I wake up, I check on my phone app to see what the price has done in Asia and London, to see if I should wake up earlier, to see what opportunities there are. Well, or if I should wait until the opening. And here I was, seeing that the price was already reaching this. So, how do I start looking at this? I'm like, okay, I have an area that closed with a lot of movement above this, an area that already broke this over here. And the price is reaching its 50% and it's responsible, plus the origin of the responsible. So that's what I'm looking at when I wake up here. And I'm watching how it's reacting. So when I see that the price tries to give a reaction, it kind of flips. The flip fails. Then around here it tries again. Tries to go again before breaking through here. This had already broken, in fact. This origin starts to make the bullish fail and make new lows. New lows when it gets here to the opening. I say, fine. This clears up the doubt whether this is going to make me bullish or if I can actually go bearish from here, because I see this not holding the price, and before the opening, we keep falling more over here. And over here, we have some things to swipe that we'll see right away. Then the opening comes, it goes up and swipes and rejects, and additionally, there's a divergence with the S, which was quite nice too. So look here, when the most air was being taken out, they couldn't even take this one out, just took out internal James, still rejected. So in this sense, I quickly went short from 30% in 5 seconds of the quick change that happened there. Let's look at it from here. Then, alright, the opening comes, the price goes up, swipe this, and change structure in this time frame. So grab this, and it was in confluence with this, and seeing that it arrived aggressive like this and immediately started giving reaction, well, by intuition, I immediately went short with that. Now, here comes the interesting part. The price arrives here. Now this origin had a candle pattern here, so it goes to a low, goes up, then it comes and makes a new low and takes it out. So we have there the candle pattern, and the price reaches 50% in that drop. And it starts to make the pullback to the previous area. So this is a point where I took a long, but this is already a point to wait for the narrative for me, because at least the shorts have reached their target, and it's a target that breaking it implies continuing to change the structure in a higher time frame. So we've been making these swings, we've been doing this here, we've been doing this here. So our last low here was this one. So if I am at that point, I don't really want to bet that we're gonna break that. I prefer to wait and take some scalps in that area instead of throwing a runner right away. So, well, the price comes. Hits C50, hits the 31st, does a flip in this time frame from its 50, and responsible fractal makes a decent impulse. It could have been a good 1-to-1. Then it hits the 50 now and gives a better movement. But everything to get to the previous area in a minute. And again, it does a flip, does a pullback flip quite quickly that, if I'm not mistaken, touched the 30 to the tick, and there it is. So what I've evidenced after months of trading the open is that when the market is so trending and aggressive, these at 30%, they are very effective when you have a clear direction. And then I got back in. I don't quite remember. I also did longs with this. Look here, the price returns to 50% of this. It's in confluence with its responsible. It gave a good pullback here to the previous fractal, which was the price in 5 seconds. It couldn't break it. It couldn't overcome it. So I am looking for a way to get back in as I go along with the price. If I go with an order, I see that the price is making a high and keeps a low. It makes a high and keeps a low. And so I'm leaving. It makes me another high around here, and then it breaks the previous low and closes with body once the price does this to avoid getting trapped. If I get in around here at 30, at 50, at 70, or up here to avoid getting trapped, we simply read what the candles are telling us. So it was almost below this. It's a good indicator to continue at least hedging this for the time being, because At this point, it still hasn't broken that swing point of high time frame. We don't have the certainty that it will take this completely. I clean this up a bit and it's done. So now, if the price keeps falling, and I know we've broken a high time frame swing point, then whenever I break something of a higher time frame, I can assume a cycle change in the lower time frame and take the structure that has shifted in that time frame again. So we have this structure change here. We close with a body below this, and the price reaches this origin here. So see how the price reached and mitigated this origin at the pullback opening, and then went straight to the next origin. It went quite straight. I mean, in a minute, there wasn't much anyone could do here. It simply reached that origin there, and its effect made a quick pullback candle pattern and the double bottom, and the rise began. Here it is. It has been done. Let continuations, 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 continuations. This logo was made. Wiki, or was not able to come to remove the high continued, and when it is seen as this responsible, removes it from that fractal. And even from this area too, it already gives us an indication that this is no longer being respected. Look at how even with a trend line it is super easy to see. This becomes the responsible with the flip area. It is not able to make a new high. Therefore, it comes to a deeper area to look for more orders. And from there, the tap and the double bottom are generated, and the trajectory starts to rise strongly. Now that I start to see over here, I start to mark imbalance. When I see that the price reaches this fractal, I start to mark imbalance. Why do I mark imbalance? And why didn't I go short right away until here? Because this area is nothing. This area was not something generated after breaking this low. Neither is it the candle pattern, nor is it anything. This area holds no importance for me. The flip already happened here, as we saw in 5 seconds. And the tap, the double floor, is already done. All of this is already mitigated. So, I know that if the price makes a pullback, the first thing it will do is go to an imbalance, as I was already left with several 1-minute ones. And the price had stayed here. The one I had left now was the 5-minute one. So it arrived and mitigated it a bit, then went back up, mitigated another level of this, and fell again until it mitigated the 50%. So there were several flips, several rejections around here. So there was a rejection around here, taking the high. It took the high, or another rejection here, rejection, taking the low. It took the low, or another rejection. And now, with the 50% now mitigated, we now close with a body above this. What is this telling us? That now a target has been achieved that gave us the necessary volume to make the continuation in the direction the market wants to have in this lower time frame. So now we reach the origin of this low that did set a new high, and here it gives us the flip, and with the flip we will see how this looked in 5 seconds. So around here, look, it doesn't even give a bigger pullback in 5 seconds. That's why I like to always check in 1 minute once it leaves this fractal around here with the candlestick pattern. But once it leaves by structure, look how it forms and doesn't give pullback. Well, Now, where it gets interesting, up here again. So this 30% was already mitigated. This 30% was mitigated at the opening. The price reaches here. The 50 quite nice, but doesn't do much for those who do one-to-one trades. Overall, it was a good trade sweep of the 30 rejection. And it drops around here, but the price was building positions from somewhere around here from this fractal. So you know that from order flow, if I want to take a trade with confirmation, it must break that to have said movement and having some reason to go in that direction. Here it broke it, but didn't give me a pullback before. And first it mitigated this area. So now it's riskier that when you pull back to the area, you take another short, which it did anyway, but I want it to be without mitigating that, which I'm betting the price will go to. So, well, look how this looks in 5 seconds. This was the last area generated after, well, the first rather, which was generated after all this movement, after breaking, and the price started to respect. So look how the tab at 50 comes and swipes something here. But that area continues to be respected. And these areas from which the positioning starts here, this was with a rejection. But then the price returns to this. And from there, everything starts. And then the price starts to have swipes. Look how it has this low. It wicked it twice until the price came around here now at 70. 50 didn't achieve that flow changer of 70, but did manage to arrive to mitigate now the area that had been left of greater temporality down here, and again, a quite clear flip here. Closes here with body. Closes here with body. Retracement quite deep beyond 50, but keeps protecting the flip area, the price. And already around here it made the second touch to give the strong movement. Now, yes, here the price starts to arrive. And what am I looking at right now? 50% of the area with the most seasonality that we changed. Seeing that this is not producing the expected outcome. So that's the first thing one starts to notice. The price had already reached 30 somewhere around here. And when I saw that, it started to reach 30 around here. Had already reached 30. And seeing it start to go like that, one starts looking at 50 to make the move, which still had quite a bearish bias because at the point where Nasdaq was so high up around here, he was just mitigating the one responsible for this area. Look, here's the one responsible, and S was just there, so that was a good indicator for the shot. And now it shows the divergence again at this 50. So look how S holds this whole area. It is far from breaking this high, while the Nasdaq is getting closer and closer to mitigating that 50. Then while the Nasdaq is already reaching around here to mitigate that 50, it is showing that weakness to continue going down. Now what happens specifically here, which was quite nice for the order flow topic.
Let's see then. Let's look at 5 minutes.
1 minute is fine. What is this over here? are responsible for breaking what? The higher time frame swing point here was broken by the price for me. What is the area? If this is responsible for breaking something on a higher time frame, and I want an equivalent area with an equivalent amount of volume, what would it be like the responsible for removing this area? If I want to see it very refined, I have this fractal here. In fact, it was the last one I broke, and from there, the upward movement started. That's why the price hadn't returned here, but on a higher time frame, it will continue to exist, and it will continue to exist, but this one won't. That's where the multi-time frame concept comes in. So this starts to become a magnet for me, but the price around here that gives me the price leaves this area, it hits me at 50%, but it closes with body and gives me a continuation from that and from this internal area that it has. It makes a top, it doesn't manage that top to make a new high. So it comes and takes, that now becomes an internal voice. But again, I don't make a new high. It comes and takes that. And then until it does, the whole pattern, it starts sweeping, 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 until it gives the full turn. Well, then if it makes me a continuation price from this area when I come in the opposite direction, that I want to break that before confirming the downside. Why do I insist so much on this in order flow? Because if we go by structure only, what do we have here? New high. There is a valid pullback. If we close below this, then we have a valid pullback. Now we have this high for a continuation, or this low for a trend change. It breaks that high. Perfect. Now what's our load? Is we have a valid pullback. If we close below this candle, then there is our valid one. Now we have this high for continuation, or this low for trend change. Then here it closes with a body below this load, but then why does it go and take out my high again? If, supposedly, the trend has changed, it's because this is the area from which the positioning has been built from the start. And here was the candle pattern. The pullback takes it out and goes away. Here is the flip. And yes, I know the complete pattern is a double bottom. My price is in an origin and it's rejecting me like this, no matter how much I have closed below a logo with structure and whatever else I have to understand from where the pattern is forming. So if this area is validated by order and its origin and all that, and it sweeps internal things and rejects it, I have to have the expectation that the double bottom pattern is forming, and of course it arrives. Here, Mitigo, someone in charge, went by without stopping and kept going, going, going. Noticed that the rejections weren't fulfilling their function of taking the low. On the contrary, they kept pushing everything up. So when you see that the bearish is failing and the order flow is so bullish, you don't want to go short just yet until you really confirm that order flow change. Now what's happening here? We have a rejection. We have that rejection in 5 minutes. The candle pattern was also seen. Everything was set, but even prettier in you again. So look that up to now. At this hour, 13:35, the Nasdaq was pulling this, and the S&P, look at where the S&P was. It was around here already doing its flip. It was around here in this super drop, while the Nasdaq had only reached here at this origin. And it was simply doing a pullback to where? To this small responsible area. So look how the S&P starts giving a narrative while we let the Nasdaq make its swipes and its aggressiveness that characterizes it. And from there, if the movement is quite nice, with the help of what? This responsible for having pulled that responsible around here. Then the price reaches this area, 50%, and starts rejecting. In 5 seconds, there was a flip, if I remember correctly, with a fractal, with this one here. Look, so here is the flip area, and the price starts around here. This was a first good entry swipe to this rejection, so it is well positioned to enter. And you see here that it would do the double bottom tap, and the distribution happens until the flip is done again, downwards, and then the continuation of that movement is desired from where it happens. So the flip downwards, now yes, from the real trend change and of order flow, and it's 50%. Then the price swipes to this by a tick, and from there, then again, as we saw further back, that we have been seeing, we see that the price is coming, making a low, a high, makes another, then makes another high, until. So take out this low over here, then the fractals it generates make a pullback, continuation. The fractal it generates makes a pullback and doesn't continue. And that gives us an indication that this flip is happening. The candle pattern did a quick pullback to its 50, and then it started going super strong. And look how the price passes through this area like it's nothing. The area we had mentioned was nothing because the real area was here, and we were already consulting double floor, so we were coming from the delivery, now with higher temporality. So 50% change of structure. The price came here to form a higher temporality pattern again. From here we did it again. There are new ones. Breaking it with body retracement. Now to structure change again. 50% went here. So that was part of what happened today. Quite a nice day. Well, it came here to where? Where did this come to? It came to this magnet that was responsible for pulling. The one responsible from last week. So look how the price got there. It's IP to everything and a fractal, an area that remains in the middle of nowhere, which with other systems, honestly, many people won't pay attention to. If we understand it in the way I explain it to you, you'll see how it gives those reasons to do this, and well, this helps mitigate the origin over here of other little things because of the confluence with that bit of it, but it's not worth confusing you. But there was a VPR around here, and all of this I was watching to have that bearish bias that was getting to these imbalances and the 50% of the change of structure. These are things I'm adding, but it's not something that conditions my trading in DTFX. But they provide me with confirmation when I know how to include it. Then nothing, anything, any questions you have out there, let me know. And I hope you have an excellent week. Bye.